Hello world, welcome back to the Razor RC. It's time for the full review of the Team Associated Pro 2 DK10 SW. This is a 1/10 scale, two-wheel drive, electric, I guess Dakar style rally vehicle, or short wheelbase, short course truck, something like that. Kind of a new class of vehicles. And I gotta admit, I was wrong about this. I didn't really understand this. I guess I'm kind of stupid because it's kind of obvious what it is, but it took me a really long time to figure out. I really like to kind of dig into a vehicle, try to understand what it's all about, what the intentions are, kind of the soul of the vehicle, I would say. Sounds a little strange, but that's kind of how I view things and approach things. So yeah, I wanted to talk about the DK10. So first off, we're going to pull off the body. This is a Dakar style body. They do make it ready to run with battery and charger, as well as kind of a standalone vehicle where if you already have your own battery and charger, you can get that. They also make like a little lightweight truck version with a different body. That Dakar style body kind of grew on me. In the beginning, I wasn't sure I really liked it, but actually it looks kind of cool and kind of different. Here's the vehicle itself. Basically a composite chassis that they use on the RB10 as well as the buggy arms, turnbuckles, and drive shafts. Front rear wheels, I think they're pretty much buggy wheels as well. I did swap them out for some more like dirt style old school wheels, and they fit just fine. The offset, everything seemed fine. Shocks and shock tires are actually from the Pro 2 SC10, so they are really short course truck tires, as well as shocks, all aluminum shocks as well, really nice. Body mounts and stuff, I think, is why they actually use the Pro 2 SC10 shock towers to get the body mounts, the bumpers, everything to attach directly to the body, even though it's really more based on the the RB10 style vehicle. You got the front bumper, rear bumper, also from the short course truck. Now, the vehicle has a gear differential, two-pad slipper clutch in the transmission, nice steel CVAs in the rear. And then adjustable turnbuckles, metal gear servo, so pretty nicely equipped overall. I want to talk about the design a little bit, because when I first looked at this, when they first announced this, I looked at it, I was like, that just looks like a buggy with a different body and bumpers. And that's kind of how I view this thing. And that's kind of where I think I totally misunderstood this vehicle. I just assumed it was a buggy with just a different body, and that's kind of how I was, evaluating it that way, but it really has nothing to do with the buggy. Now, looking at this, driving it, I understand it a lot better than I did before. What it really is a smaller scale short course truck. Even though it's a 10 scale, what they call a short course or short wheelbase short course truck, it's much smaller. It's, obviously shorter in length, shorter in width, different type of tires. It's two-wheel drive, but then it still kind of drives like a short course truck. It's got the big body, the parachuting effect, does kind of roll a fair amount, does have the big bumpers. Pretty well protected as well. I think short course trucks tend to be kind of the most durable among all the two-wheel drive vehicles. So that's what I would say this really is. It really is kind of just a smaller scale short course truck. And it took me a really long time to figure that out. I did drive this in a whole lot of different environments to try to understand that, and then I finally figured out what it's all about. In terms of the electronics, it does come with the XP120 radio. It does have a DVC empowered receiver, which is really nice. So it has a gyro in there. It helps a ton with the two-wheel drive aspects of this vehicle, especially on loose dirt, especially with these types of tires. I think these tires, I guess they're all-terrain, but they definitely work better on the street or a higher traction surface. Even on carpet, they're not that bad. You get plenty of grip, but on loose dirt, I do think it's well worth going to a different style tire. I actually mounted up these old school, like rib tires up front, mini pins in the rear, and they hooked up tremendously in the dirt. So if you do primarily drive in the dirt, I'll just grab a set of buggy wheels and tires, and I think you'll find that it actually drives quite a bit better in the loose stuff. Tons more traction, and then the DVC will always help you out, keeping it sort of in the direction that you intend to go. I do like that it's also based off the RB10, which those of you not familiar is actually pretty similar to the original B5 rear motor race buggy that Team Associated used to have. I had a B5. That was actually my first race buggy, so pretty familiar with this vehicle. It's not exactly the same. I think some of the offsets on the axles, the rear hexes, are a little bit different. The transmission did go through a couple of revisions through the years, even among the B5, B5M, and the B5M factory light that they had back in the day. They changed the top shaft, some of the bearings and stuff. So this is a little bit more of a current style you know, design on the transmission. I'm sure a ball differential would also fit right in if you found one. There are different mounting positions for the shocks. They are preload spacers on the shocks to adjust, obviously, preload on the springs. You can run 12mm Trex springs on this as well. So pretty nice. There's a lot of configuration, a lot of adjustments to get to drive exactly how you want. Downsides to the design, I would say you do need longer battery straps. The stock battery straps fit a 2S fine, but if you're running like a standard 3S pack, which will fit in this battery tray, by the way, you will want to get maybe 3/4 inch longer or 1 inch longer battery straps, because the stock straps, for whatever reason, are a little bit slow. I think another nice thing to do is to upgrade the pinion or use a smaller spur gear just to get a little bit higher gearing. It is geared pretty low out of the box. Even on 3S, I would say it's geared a little bit down. On 2S, it's definitely down. You'll benefit a lot from gearing it up. The other thing design wise I would look at is actually getting bleeder caps for these shocks. So the stock shock caps do not have bleeder holes. There's pretty difficult to actually bleed them correctly. They are emulsion style shocks, so getting those bleeder caps with bleeder screws will just make it a ton easier when you kind of play around with suspension settings and shock oils and stuff like that. Now, in terms of the way the vehicle actually drives, like I mentioned, I think you could gear it up. It's not like super fast out of the box. On 3S, it's not too bad. I would definitely just run on 3S all the time, unless you're racing. You would need a 2S pack, but just run this thing on 3S. You'll have a lot more fun, a lot more speed, a lot more power. 3,300 kV, a 4-pole motor is totally fine. ESC wise, there's no programming options on the ESC. I believe they have the punch set not to max, probably like 3 out of 5 or so. All the Reedy SC 600BL ESCs I've had in the past seem to have that way. So it works actually pretty good on 2-wheel drive, but if you switch it out to another option that had full punch, I think you'll just get a little bit more throttle response. 2-wheel drive on loose start, it's actually a benefit to have lower punch, but on a higher traction surface like on the street or something, having a higher punch will get you a little bit more instantaneous throttle response. Traction wise, these tires, good for the street, good for high traction. I did run this actually on a carpet track just to see how it would drive, and it was interesting because it drove a little bit different than I thought. I thought it was going to handle like a buggy, drive like a buggy, but it's actually set up quite different. It actually drives much closer to a short course truck. You kind of hear that body creaking as you kind of roll around the corners. A lot more body roll. Feels a lot softer than your typical buggy. So it drives quite a bit different. So that is what surprised me. It took me a while to figure out this really is just a smaller scale short course truck. That's what they were going for. Once I understood it from that vein, then you realize, oh, okay, now you kind of understand how it drives, how it behaves, how it flies, how it rolls through the corners, all that kind of stuff. And like I mentioned, if you want to drive on dirt, get some dirt style tires, and I think you'll find huge improvement in the way it actually drives. Now, in terms of durability, nothing really broke except the spur gear. For some reason, my spur gear kind of disintegrated. I don't know if a rock got in there or what. It should be pretty sealed, so I'm not sure how that actually happened. I ended up just using another Team Associated spur gear. Fits just fine. Rolls just fine, so it's something you can definitely do. But that was really the only breakage I had. This platform I think is pretty durable. One of the most durable 2-wheel drive, like sort of short course style vehicle platforms you can get. In terms of the Pro 2 SE10, I had one of those. Bashed it quite a bit. The only parts I broke on that I think were like a rear bumper and then some body mounts. And then the body eventually cracked, but this body I think is holding up quite a bit better than the Pro 2 SE10. The material seems a little bit better. I don't know if it's just thicker or what, but I think the shape also helps as well. It's just smaller, more compact, both in width and in length, and it's kind of curved like that, so it tends to kind of roll on the ground rather than crack the corners and stuff like that. So this body's holding up really well. I think this is a very durable body. No issues there. The bumpers, the body mounts, everything seems to be holding up so far, and definitely help protect the vehicle and generally prevent arms, C-hubs, all that kind of stuff from breaking, because it is fully enclosed. So I don't think you'll have really any issues with breakages. The spur gear is really the only thing I had. So in terms of durability, I think I would say this is one of the best out there. The other great thing about the DK10, it is made by Team Associated, which is basically the most well-supported race brand out there that you can buy. They make bashers, they make race kits, A-scale, 10-scale, all that stuff. Team Associated is carried everywhere, at least here in the US. All your hobby shops are going to carry parts. Very easy to get parts. And then in addition to that, it's based off vehicles that have already been out in the marketplace a year or more. So the Pro 2 SE10, all the parts are already out there. You should be able to find arms, shock towers, all that kind of stuff. Same with the RB10. which a lot of the similar parts. So I don't think there's any issue with support. You're definitely going to be able to find parts. And I find that Team Associated parts actually tend to be well stocked in general, much higher than even some of the bigger brands out there. So support-wise, this is one of the best out there. You can also always call them, email, get help with that if you ever have any issues with your vehicle out of the box. So support-wise, is definitely one of the strongest points. Now the DK10 sells for $350 here in the US. That is a $10 price hike over the RB10, also a $10 hike over the Pro 2 SE10, the short course version. Not really sure why they increased the price. I mean, I would imagine it's more due to inflation and sort of global shipping supply lines and all that kind of stuff. So that's probably why. But I did find it a little bit strange that they didn't just increase the price across the board. I don't think there's really anything in here that is higher spec than the other RB10 or Pro 2 SE10 type vehicles. So I would say value wise, maybe the area I felt like they, probably $10 or $20 higher than before. There are other vehicles out there like the rival MT10, a little bit cheaper. I think it's $20 cheaper, really, really nicely equipped. I think this one might actually be made in Taiwan, so maybe that's why this costs a little bit more. But the rival MT10 is a great value if you're looking for a basher. And this is a little bit more for some reason. I guess they do have adjustable turnbuckles, steel drive shafts and that kind of thing. So there are some nicer things about this, but it just seemed a little odd. Now the interesting thing is that the Pro 2 DK10 slots in kind of a unique spot within the Team Associated lineup. It's kind of in the middle. On the bashing side, you have something like this, the rival MT10 V2. This is a full-on hardcore series basher, a little bit cheaper than the DK10, four-wheel drive. Very, very capable, very fast, handles great, center differential, and at $20 cheaper, if you just want to bash, this is one of the best choices, probably the best choice actually within the 110 scale monster truck class, rival MT10, excellent vehicle. So this is not obviously as hardcore of a basher as the rival MT10. And then on the racing side, you have the Team Associated B6.4. So this is my personal race vehicle. Drives amazing. A little bit more expensive at $400, and that's just for the kit. You will have to provide your own electronics, radio, wheels, and tires even. So a little bit, it's going to price you out quite a bit. Closer to the $700, $800 range. So the thing about the DK10 is it's kind of in the middle. If you're going to go racing, you're going to run the B6.4. If you just want to do bashing, you're going to run the rival MT10. Both of those, price wise, are going to be more expensive on the racing side, cheaper than on the bashing side. But this is really in the middle. This is the only vehicle I would take to both environments. The B6.4, I'm not going to take out bashing, trying to do double or triple backflips. This thing cannot do that. This thing will get destroyed, honestly. I mean, it's pretty durable, but it's just way too nice a vehicle to take out bashing and just sending it off huge jumps. On the bashing side, the rival MT10, it's a great vehicle, but you're not going to take it to a local carpet track. I would not drive that on carpet. I would not drive that on a real racetrack. I'm sure you could, but it's obviously not meant for that environment. It's going to roll over quite a bit. It's really not a competition vehicle. But the DK10 is the only vehicle I would actually take to both locations. I took it to a carpet track. It drove okay. Definitely something I would want to do some setup changing with stiffer springs, maybe different body style, maybe different tires. But I also took it bashing. I took it out to the local BMX park, launched it 10 feet high. It drove great, especially with the right dirt tires, and it's durable enough. So it is something I would say is more of a jack of all trades, but on the downside, it is the master of none, right? It's not as good of a basher as a rival MT10. It's not as good of a race vehicle as the B6.4, but if you're looking for something kind of in the middle, you're not really sure which way you want to go to, maybe something you want to try out as your first RC car, drive it around, and then decide, well, I want to do a little bit more racing, maybe convert it into an RB10, more of a race buggy style vehicle, or maybe you want to do more bashing, maybe change out the shocks, springs, stuff to stiffer configurations, maybe more dirt style tires as well. So it is a vehicle I think it can run in both. Obviously it's not going to be as good in those environments as the dedicated vehicles, but it is something you can run in both. So anyways, those are my thoughts on the Pro 2 DK10 from Team Associated. I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to hit the like, share, subscribe buttons. Look for more videos soon. Thanks for watching.